Welcome guys, welcome back to my channel, The Inked Reader. My name is Eva. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you are coming back. I have been mostly absent for the month of April. I did catch up with what I watched recently, but apart from that I have not uploaded much, unfortunately. Between training, work and stuff in my life, I just didn't have the time to film, and I'm also having some editing issues with the editing program I'm using, so it's a bad combination of stuff. I will try and do a bit better in May, but you'll have to bear with me. Yeah, it's been kind of hectic. It will be kind of hectic, but I'll figure something out. I'll try to make a proper schedule as soon as I can. Well, I'm gonna plan to read in the month of May. May we have a few bank holidays coming up, and so I might have some Mondays off to read, which I plan to make the best of. And I also decided to combine my TBR for my books and my comics, because I had put a lot of pressure on myself to then put my comic wrap-ups at the beginning of the month, so you could also have a TBR, but I don't think it's feasible with the rhythms that I'm keeping right now. It's just too much, and I don't want to add that pressure in, and at the same time I don't want you to watch a TBR like 10 days in the month, because for me it makes little sense. So I'm gonna combine them and put timestamps so you can jump around if you're not interested in books or in comics. I will start with my comics, and then I'm gonna do the pick a random shelf and read all the things that are on that shelf. I've got a few things coming in the mail. Not too many, but I did buy volume 6 of Morning Glories, a thriller graphic novel that I've been reading throughout the year, basically since January now. It's about this bunch of kids that are elite students and are chosen to attend this very prestigious school, boarding school kind of, but when they go there they find out that there is something very sinister going on and they're not allowed to leave the school, and it's madness, this series. So I'm reading volume 6. The series is technically speaking on a hiatus. So after volume 10 they never continued on, and yeah, I'm not going to discuss here how frustrating that is for me, but yeah, I'm continuing with the series, and at least until number 10 I'm reading a volume a month, and then then I'm gonna continue on with another series that I have routinely been reading it since the beginning of the year. It's The Sandman, so I'm gonna read volume 8, and I believe there are a total of 10 volumes, so once I got like a couple of more months and then I should be done with The Sandman. And there are a couple of spin-off, and I own one of them, but we will see how it goes. And The Sandman is a very popular horror fantasy graphic novel by Neil Gaiman, and you follow Morpheus and the other Endless while they navigate different human lives. Basically, you follow sometimes Morpheus, sometimes you follow completely different stories where he just makes an appearance, and sometimes you follow more around their family drama, if you want to call it that. And it's a very complex series to explain, just because it's also kind of episodic, where each volume there is like a light thread between plots, but some volumes are completely like, you know, they start at the beginning of a volume and they finish at the end of the volume. Some volumes are just short stories, so it's a bit of a mixed bag, but as of now I'm feeling like kind of okay about. Then I've got Summertime Rendering volume 4. This is categorized, I believe, as a fantasy horror slash thriller. Again, a bit confusing, and I think giving away what exactly it is might be a spoiler, so I won't do it. And this is another one that I tend to read a volume a month. It's not a big series at all, but it's quite confusing, so I need to kind of read one volume a month so I don't get too lost. And this is sort of this boy who is called back from the mainland, from the island he grew up in, because someone who was very dear to him passed away, and so he goes back to the island and he has to attend the funeral, and very weird things start to happen, and he realizes that there might be more to the death of his friend than what initially he thought. And the last thing that it's coming through the mail and don't own it yet, well, I own it, just it's not in my hands, it's Fire Punch volume 3. This is an 8-volume series by the same manga artist that did Chainsaw Man, and of course I wanted to check out everything else he had put out because I am a big fan of Chainsaw Man. This is a more dystopian horror. I would dare to call it even more bleak and violent in a sense than Chainsaw Man, which is saying something. But this is the story of two siblings that live in this world where some people have magic and some people use this magic for horrible purposes, and in this case a witch has basically frozen the world, so there is like a shortage of food, there is no heat, people are starving and dying, and you follow these two siblings, as said, that are keeping their village alive in a way that I don't want to say because I think it would be a bit of a spoiler, but it starts on and it's already so intense. So they are the reason why the village can survive, and then enemies arrive to the village and bring big changes and further trauma to these people who really didn't need that. So yeah, it has been bleak. Now that I do have my hands is, first of all, Monsters Volume 4. This is actually my first volume that I've never read before, so I'm continuing with this series. This is a steampunk series, and you follow Micah, and she's trying to survive in the afterwar between humans and arcanics. Now, she's an arcanic, but because of her physical aspect, she can pass as human. However, she is on the traces of what happened to her mother and special artifacts, and she also has to deal with a demon inside of her. It's a very complex, layered story, and again, this is another series I feel like I need to read a volume a month, otherwise I will lose the thread of the whole thing. So yeah, I'm continuing on, and has amazing, stunning art. Like, I mean, can we appreciate this? I'm continuing on with a massive never-ending series of One Piece, so I am gonna read volume number 4 of these. And yeah, it's One Piece, it's a pirate story, and you follow Luffy trying to become the king of pirates and find the ultimate treasure, and yeah, we all know what One Piece is. And I'm also continuing on with a very popular, beloved series. One of my ultimate favorites definitely is Doradoro. This is volume number 5 that I need to read. I'm taking my time because although I know that it's not like a small series, I think it's around 23 volumes, could be 28. I feel like it's 23. But I know that once this is done, and it's like with Berserk, it's one of my ultimate favorite things ever, and I don't want it to end ever, so I'm pacing myself 1 volume a month and cherishing it. And this is a horror, I just call it horror fantasy manga series, and you follow this main protagonist who has been transformed by a dark wizard into a giant lizard, and he also has a human head inside of himself who has lost all recollection of his past life as a human. So he needs to find whether transformed him into this huge lizard so he can find out who he was before this happened, and I guess his history. I'm also continuing on with Vagabond. This is the Beads edition, so it contains 3 volumes into one, which is positive because this is a massive series. I'm reading way more faster the series because of this format. Sorry, it's a bit bloody, I can't show you that. I love the aesthetic of these volumes because once I've owned them all the spine will display all the characters. I'm in love with this idea, like I love it so much. And this is actually based on a true story of one of the most famous popular samurais life stories in Japan. Now I think of course it's fictionalized, but it's based on a true story. And again, it's another series that was on hiatus, but I believe it's about to resume, so we will get more. But as of now, I've got enough volumes to keep me going until there are new volumes coming out. I'm gonna probably go through a final attempt of Jujutsu Kaisen. I think like I wanna potentially reread volume 1 and then continue on with volume 2. This is a very popular Shonen Jump manga. I keep comparing it to Chainsaw Man, although the premise is different, because in this world, if you ingest the pieces of this demon, you can get like immense powers. However, you will also turn evil. So there is a school that's literally made for protecting humans and preventing humans from eating or consuming pieces of this demon, or demons, I don't remember. However, it's a bit childish. For me, it doesn't feel very refreshing and new. And I've heard that the anime is amazing, so I don't think I will spend more money on the manga unless these 2 volumes really blow my mind out. So we will see. I'll read those 2 volumes and then decide if I want to just get rid of this. And the last manga I'm gonna read for this month is The Promised Neverland Volume 3. This is another horror fantasy manga. As you can see, I have a favorite genre, don't I? This is the story of actually this bunch of kids that are raised in an orphanage, and at one point though they are called by their kind of main caretaker and taken in the wide world, and they think they're gonna be adopted and live a good life. And then one day one kid is about to, you know, become adopted, so he's taken away, but she leaves behind a toy. So some of our main protagonists find the toy and follow her just to give it back before she leaves. And they found out that actually these kids don't get adopted, they don't get to live a good life, but they make a very horrendous end. And then the story goes from there. I'm not the biggest fan of children protagonists, so I am so far feeling pretty lukewarm with this, but some of the things that happen, some of the plot twists are cool enough, and I can honestly find volumes for so cheap that I don't mind continue purchasing them. But I'm not pulling my hair out for this series as of now, but we will see. It's just volume 3 out of 20, so plenty of time for me to grow more enamored with this. Okay, so that was it for my manga and graphic novels. This is all I'm planning to read, which is around 11 things. So now I'm gonna go into my shelf TBR. I've done rules and I put up a video with all the rules eons ago, a couple of years ago when I started this. I'll link it down below. But basically we're gonna pick a random shelf from behind me and I will have to attempt to read the majority of the books on it that are unread. But before I do that, I do have 2 books from my book club for June, beginning of June, that I will need to read in May, and a book that we just want to catch up because this is the second part of like one book basically. So I definitely want to read World of Radiance, the second part in World of Radiance book by Sanderson, epic high fantasy. In England they divided the massive book in 2, and I've read the first part in March, and I don't want to wait too long before reading the second part because technically speaking this is meant to be read back to back. And then for my book club I'm gonna read a couple of things. So first of all, we decided to read On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. This is a very popular literature fiction that went around a few years ago. I acquired it, never read it as per my usual, and this is a kind of story told from the son to his mother who can't read, and he's basically going through you know, how he was born in Vietnam, the war they witnessed, and his experience then moving and, you know, I think immigrating to America. I don't know anything else about this, and I don't want to know anything else because it's such a short book. And the other book we're gonna read for my book club, it's another short one, so that's why we picked 2 this time, and this is If Beetle Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. And this is the story of this pregnant girl that her lover is in prison accused of rape, and they live in Harlem in the heart of New York, and she is basically telling us about the story of how they became lovers, how he was accused, apparently unjustly I believe, and their struggle to get him released. And those 2 are likely to make up for an amazing discussion like from the book club. And then let's pick up a random shelf now. So I'm gonna show you just the final one because, as you might have seen from my last couple of TBRs, I have done half of the shelves, and so this year I have to do the other half. But what happens is that when I input the numbers and I want to give it more choices, like I want to put the original number, just because also I'm lazy and don't want to renumber them on my spreadsheet. So basically I'm inserting the right number, and then a lot of numbers I've already done, so I keep changing them. So I'll let you know once I've got the right one, but for now I'm going to insert 1 and 21. Shelf number 9. I've actually not done this one, so we got lucky at the first time. It's actually this shelf here, the one with the bluish greyish books. So I'm gonna show you from, you know, close the shelf. And yeah, it's good. I think a lot of the things though on there I have read, but I have not read a lot of the things on top of that shelf because I changed things around. So what I'm gonna do, I am actually gonna pick up from shelf 8 a few things that I have to read, because I don't think it's fair, because I literally changed them so much that this shelf is full of things I've already read. As of last week, I'm gonna show you this way. This is shelf number 9. the technique I have to do. And I've also got my Funko Pops. This is the Sphinx. This is from Harry Potter, Death Eater. And this is Baron Samedi. And here we have also Jack from The Shining. And then I'm gonna pick up some books from that. Say hello to the Sphinx. Let me know if you're interested in a Funko Pop tour, because I love to make one. Okay, so I'm coming closer. So Red Queen, very controversial YA book. I've not read, so we'll attempt this one. I have read 12 Nights at Rotherhouse. Love it. I've also read Villoni. I have also read Long Way Down, Stellar. Now Storm Dancer I have read, but I have not read Kingslayer, the sequel to it, so it's been ages, I don't remember much. Now this one also I've not read, The Prince Gambit. This is the second book in, again, a very controversial series, and yeah, I'm gonna read the sequel. I love the aesthetic of these books for whatever reason. I've also never read Jane Eyre. Yeah, it's happening! It's happening, I'm reading these. I'm attempting to read these, so yeah. The collages, I loved it, so I'm gonna read these. I'm gonna also read these, the Ninth Reign, fantasy. So the next one is a novella, but I've not read up to this point, so I don't think I need to read this novella. I'm gonna check, double check just in case. 4 Seconds to Lose I have read. Before They Are Hanged I have read. Asking for It I have read. Very sad book. Okay, we've moved. A Court of Silver Flames I have read. Wildcat, kindly sent to me by the author, I've read. The Darkest Powers of Tolkien I've read. The next one, unfortunately, I've read. Bone Crier's Dawn. Visions I've read. A Head Full of Ghosts I have read. City of Dusk I have read. And of course, God's Grave I have read. This shelf, it's butchered. By the way, this is my Harry Potter castle that I got in USA. And I was like 10 years old, and it was like my big present for my birthday, and I screamed when I saw this. So yeah, forever in my heart. So now here, I've not read any of those books. Can we appreciate also that one? Yeah, stunning. Anyway, there are 4 spots that I can pick, and I am gonna just do that. I am gonna pick 4 books from here that I am so eager to read. Now, The Eye of the World, I'm gonna tell you right now that I have yet to read, but because I got a lot of other epic fantasies that are quite lengthy, I don't think it's the right time. So I'm gonna pick 4 others, but there is another epic fantasy actually there that I definitely want to get around to. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go wild. I picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other 6 books from that shelf because I just couldn't let them down. So I'm gonna try. Listen, worst case scenario, I just put them back, which is what I've been doing because I don't think it's realistic for me to accumulate every month. So the ones I don't read, I'll just put back. So yeah, being kind to myself this year, we can attempt and hope for the best. I'm gonna start with the ones you already saw, and in the end I'm gonna show you the 6th one I picked from that shelf. Okay, so first of all, I've got The Ninth Reign. This is a very well praised epic fantasy that's been going around a tiny bit lately. I've seen it around and has been like loved overall, so I was just so curious to pick it up because I believe you have like talking animals in it, something of the sort. The synopsis though, it's kind of convoluted, and I'm exhausted after the day I just had. I had to walk like miles and miles because buses were not running in London. Not fun. So yeah, bear with me while I attempt a synopsis of this. All I know that you follow this kind of bunch of characters that are living in an empire that is coming apart, and our main protagonists are hired by someone to retrieve artifacts, and they are an unlikely pair, or I don't know if how many of them, but at least from the back it seems like there is a guy and a girl, a witch actually. They have to team up to retrieve artifacts for this lady that I hope pays them well to do so. But at the same time, again, the empire is about to collapse and a possible war is coming. It's The Prince Gambit, book 2 of the Captive Prince trilogy. Now, there's an exclusive chapter inside here. Now I remember this being quite problematic. A lot of people love it, a lot of people consider this very guilty pleasure, a lot of people don't agree with the whole concept of this, because this is a queer fantasy where I believe you follow a slave or someone who's been enslaved, and now the prince of this kingdom is kind of becoming the master of this boy. In the first book, this prince is extremely mean to the point that it's almost torturing, I believe, this our main protagonist, and we know eventually that, you know, it's a male romance in the background, but it's also a bit violent. I don't remember much about the first book. I will have to refresh my memory, probably looking for a synopsis online or something. Or if you've read this and you want to leave the synopsis of the first book in the comments down below, you're more than welcome to spoil it for me. Just put warnings so I can continue on. Very popular YA that people have butchered, like people hate this book, and I am curious honestly to know why, but I'm also very concerned about me hating this book, which is Red Queen. We will see what I think about this. I don't remember much about the synopsis, but what I remember, some people in this world bleed silver, some people bleed red, and according to if you bleed red or silver, I don't remember which one, you are considered like scum, like, you know, yeah, you are just servitude. And people that bleed the other color, the right color if you want, they are the nobility, they are the kings, queens, and so on. And our main protagonist, she has the wrong blood, but she still has a lot of powers, and so the people in power will want to take advantage of her and use her to their own purposes. I don't know anything else. I think probably she has got red blood, so silver blood should be like the nobility blood. We will see. Oh, actually good news, because I had picked up one book that I had already read, so I put it back, so I am in trouble, but just one book less in trouble. Then I've got Jane Eyre. I don't know anything about this, the synopsis. I mean, I've heard about a few things that are in here, but I've never actually spoiled myself completely on what happens, although I might have a hint. I love this edition though. I love the decal edges, although I admit they are difficult to turn. And yeah, can we appreciate how lovely and stunning this looks? So yeah, I'm gonna attempt these. I need to be in the mood of reading a classic though, which I've not been lately, but I can only promise I will give my best try. If not, you will have to forgive me. Kingslayer, this is book number 2 in a fantasy series by J. Christoph. Now this is one of his earliest works, that I am aware of. Sorry, battery ran out. So Storm Dancer, the first book in this trilogy, it's actually about this girl and her father. They are sent on this mission by the shogun to capture a griffin. Now those creatures though are supposed to be extinct, and so they know when they're sent on this mission that it's a suicide mission. They are sent off to basically be killed in the wild. But there is a surprise, and actually they do find a griffin, and the girl establishes a bond with this griffin, and then along this journey she will meet other people. They are actually realizing how the shogun is monopolizing people and bringing war to the kingdom. So again, it's not very much of a spoiler about them finding a griffin and bonding with the griffin. This happens quite early on, and then you follow a journey toward, you know, fighting I guess the shogun and the kingdom. So I don't remember much about what happens in the end of that one, so we'll refresh my mind before continuing on. And this is massive. I also remember that I think I put this aside because it was impossible for me to find the third book in matching hardcovers, which is upsetting. And actually that was it for this shelf. So this shelf was mostly read, and now I'm gonna go into the 6 things I'm gonna attempt to read from the shelf above it, which, yeah, I've already explained. So first of all, I'm gonna continue on with one of my favorite books of 2022, which was And I Darkened. So this is the sequel to that, and this is a historical fiction YA where you follow the daughter of Vlad Tepes. That her and her brother have been raised by the Ottoman Empire as hostages, and it was wild. She is the proper heir to Vlad Tepes, the inspiration for Dracula, and her brother are so different. And this was written, it was very fast paced, but their characters of, you know, the main protagonist and her brother you follow both perspectives, if I remember correctly. It was so fascinating. And finally, I will read Mexican Gothic. Now, this has been on my radar for ages. I keep hearing people talking about this, and I think, I'm afraid, an author spoiled a bit of what happens in this, so I do want to check out if I was spoiled. And of course, my neighbor decides that 6 p.m. is the right time to drill stuff in the garden. It's about this woman. She receives a call from her cousin, newlywed, and the cousin says, please come to the house, save me, something very sinister is going on. So she leaves everything behind and goes to the rescue of her cousin, and when she goes there, she finds out that the family of the husband is a very weird family and creepy stuff are happening in the house. Sounds like a Mexican haunted house. Just the premise, I love it. And then because I like the other book by this author I read this month, you're gonna find out in my wrap-up, I'm gonna read Jack the Ripper, Stalking Jack the Ripper, actually, by Kerry Maniscalco, and this is a retelling, like historical fiction, alternative history, where you follow a girl that is hunting Jack the Ripper. And I have been saying I don't like Jack the Ripper retellings, I found it predictable, but I liked her style, and this was a very popular series back then, so I want to know if this can remove a jinx to any Jack the Ripper retelling I've ever read and actually made me enjoy the story. Now the next one is another popular standalone fantasy. I believe it's YA or adult, I'm not so sure, but it's blurred by Stephanie Garber, and Stephanie Garber is someone who does like my guilty reads, my favorite guilty reads as of, you know, lately, or one of the ones that I enjoy the most because they're so entertaining. So I'm very happy that she blurred this. And this is Sorcery of Thorns. This is a story of this lady girl that is the guardian, I believe, or works in this fantastical magical library where books actually have souls or they speak, and all of a sudden someone steals a grimoire, and that grimoire can bring destruction to the whole world. So she has to team up with someone, I don't know who, to go and fetch that grimoire back before, you know, chaos ensues. And then one book that you couldn't see because it was hidden behind, because just the color scheme didn't fit in, so I had to hide it behind, and I'm not proud of it, okay? I don't like hiding books behind, but realistically speaking, I have to sometimes. This is The Female of a Species, which is a book that I've been wanting to read for ages. Since I've read Sadie. Sadie is one of my favorite thriller literature fiction when it comes down to YA. I really need to do like a proper, some of my favorite reads of the last few years, because I think there are a few good ones in there. And since I've read Sadie, I wanted to read this one. It is a similar premise in the sense that the protagonist, her sister was murdered, the killer walked free, and so she decided that she's gonna take revenge. She is gonna speak the language of violence, find the guy, and bring justice to him, and she is followed along by a couple of her schoolmates or kids. I don't want to know anything else about these. I am expecting though to love this so much. And finally, but this is happening, guys, like if I can put my hands on the fire, that I will read that one book and hopefully become obsessed, because I was looking back at my reads so far this year and I have not given 5 stars. Basically, like apart from 1 or 2, but you have not found favorite reads of the year, almost. So I'm disappointed because we are already in May, so I'm really putting my hopes up in this one. Jade City. We all know what it's about. This is a kind of Asian mafia style fantasy story. Don't know anything else. I don't want to know anything else. I really have high hopes for this. If I don't like this, or if this becomes or feels meh, I would be hugely disappointed. So yeah, that's it, guys. It's massive. It's doable. No, I won't get around to some of these reads. I'm gonna attempt it. I'm gonna try my very best. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you're gonna read in May. What is that you're gonna read in May that you expect to give the highest rating to. If you're new, I would love for you to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Ciao!